Alright, I'm going to try this again for the third time because technical difficulties. What I'm doing is I'm designing a thumbnail for a buddy video he's doing. And that should be good enough. Oh, and if you notice down here, I think you guys should be able to see these, but you have these different templates that you can use, and it'll determine the image size. So if you wanted to do like an Instagram post or Instagram story, I mean, you can read the rest, of course, so on and so forth. This case, it's going to be a thumbnail for YouTube, so I go ahead and automatically select that, and then I can crop it, and I can enlarge it, I can make it smaller, whatever I want to do. It's not cropping per se, it's cropping so that it actually fits the native resolution for whatever social media that you're using. There's ones for your phone over here and stuff that you can use, the Apple Watch to make wallpapers, all that good stuff. Oh, and this is called Typorama, by the way. These are meant for text. Excuse me. You can see these different styles down here at the bottom. I'm just going to move around because I can always come back, so you can change it. This is like for posters and stuff. There's even one, where is it? So you have stuff like where you can do the Star Wars, and if you tap on the selection that you have, it'll change it. It'll still stay in the style, but it'll modify like the size of some words or phrases. It'll also put a border or take a border away. See, that's borderless, like a picture frame or whatever. So this one's like Scrabble. And, let me see. There's another one that I'm thinking of. You have this like horror stories and kind of like where you're trying to do something maybe for a suspenseful image, I guess, if you will. And then there's one here for comics that you can use. Not that there's one style of lettering for comics. I mean, there isn't. Otherwise, you wouldn't have letterers. I mean, they each kind of have their unique style, I guess, if you will. Anyways, so you can see the different styles you can choose. But for simple stuff, I'm just doing some image inserts. And so what I'm doing is using the emojis that are built in to the Apple keyboard for the iPhone and the iPad and stuff. And we actually talk about this in a stream that I follow, Young Ripa 59, Eric July. And we talk about how, in other genres of entertainment and whatnot, that a lot of the creators have become lazy with multiverses and tokenization and whatnot, and they're not forced to be creative because they're not working within. They just break the rules. They're not working within any sort of confine, which forces you to use what you have at your disposal. And that's what I'm doing. I'm not a graphics designer by trade. That's not what I do. I do computer work. I actually work in IT, and I've done a lot of other things too. I mean, so my I have skills in a lot of different areas, but really my forte has been technology. And this application, which is called Typorama, I think I may have said that earlier in the video. I don't remember if I mentioned it or not, but it's called Typorama. This is the pro version of it. I got it for free. I think maybe for when I was a Starbucks member, because you have membership gold rewards, you would get apps free and stuff like that. And I think this may have been one of the free apps, and that's how I ended up with it. And so actually, you know what? Let me shrink this down because I need to blow this image up just a hair. Let me see, is that? Why is it? There we go. I'm trying to get this to scale as well for the money, so it fits in her hand. But yeah, so this forces me to be creative because, like I said, I'm not... graphics design is not my... it's not the job that I do, and this probably may not be the best program in the world to do this, but it's worked out pretty well for what I managed to do for my stream memes and for my thumbnails. And I have no doubt that there are better applications out there for this, but this is what I use. And like I said, I'd be creative. I mean, I've never really used Photoshop. I do photography, but I don't Photoshop any of my images. And then if you notice up here in the top, there's a plus sign. So if I click on the plus sign, that will give me another text box. And that's why you'll get this warning that's going to come up when I do this, because I'm just putting an image in there. I'm not putting text in there. Even if you put like a short, like one word, like hello, it's not going to be enough characters and it's going to yell at you. And that's what it's doing right here. Is it's too short. I just hit continue anyway, and it's going to do what I want. So I've got to decide what to do with this now. This is my third take of this video because I've had a couple technical issues going on. The last of which was somebody's that I follow is streaming on Twitch right now, Sheepsidian, and his stream notifications popped up like right in the middle of the damn video. So I had to put my phone in airplane mode and ditch that one because that kind of messed it up. So I don't think her hand, see the way I don't like the way her hand's positioned. I wish her hand was a little bit more open because it's like a weird thing. So see, I'm gonna move this and look how it looks weird because you cover up her fingers, like her index finger right there. And I could try to shrink this down, and my thumb is not the smallest finger, but I don't really know that. See, to me that still doesn't look right. Because it really doesn't look like she's grasping it, and that's really kind of the point that you want to make. So let me... oops, that's not what I wanted to do. That's one of the other things I was going to talk about. You have to be careful when you do this because you can either move the image or you can move the item that you're working on. So, and you have to be careful because see how close this this hypodermic needle is to that money that's in her hand. When the boxes get close together, you have to be careful because you can mess up the thing what you're doing. So normally what I'll do is if I have images that are really close together, if you look in the upper right hand corner of the screen, you'll see that OK share. I'll hit OK share, then I'll save it, then I'll back out of the application entirely, because if you click edit, what it will do is it will still make these images appear like they are. The boxes will be there. So if you have elements that are close together, you're satisfied where they are, what I usually do is I'll save it, back out of the application to the, like if you're going to do a new project, and then what I'll do is I'll select this as a regular photo, this one right here that's already been modified, and that way these elements are right here. Let's say I was at a stopping point right here, which I'm probably going to be the stopping point for this before I go into add in some other elements, before it gets too cluttered. It'll freeze these elements in place where they can no longer be modified. So you want to make sure that you're definitely happy with where they are. And then you'll save it. Okay. I'm getting dangerously close to... let me see here. Can I... the thing is, that doesn't look like the right scale. I want it to be recognizable, but that's why I would have preferred that it was in her hand. And I have to remember too, this is probably going to scale up a little bit bigger once I... all right. So what I'm going to do is, for the purposes of this, I probably wouldn't save this. I've got some other things that I want to add in here. I'm going to save it really just to show you. So I'll hit OK Share. And actually that turns out kind of perfectly, because where I place it, it almost like that shadow that's naturally there for, I think, from her hand, from the light source being in this upper right hand corner, at least from our perspective, the image that we're looking at, it has a shadow from there, and it's kind of under the hypodermic needle, so it's like almost like that needle should be there. So I'll hit OK Share, and here's what I was talking about. So I'm going to hit Save, and it's going to save the image. And then what I'll do is I'll hit Done, and then I'll go back. And then actually I'll show you this, because I have a video in here, or I mean a video. I have a stream meme that I worked for a streamer that I follow, is NotAnAppleFan. He talks primarily about GPUs, what's going on in the market in terms of pricing, and the manufacturers, what's going on with them, kind of their shenanigans, if you will. So actually, can I look at that? I don't want to modify that. I just want to look at it. Let me, actually, you know what? Let's back out of that. Let's just go into the image here. Okay. So normally what I'll do is I'll just go in and I'll grab an image off of the stream. It's usually what he's doing that day. So I'll wait for kind of I guess a perfect moment where I think his hand is lined up, or he's facing a certain way, or whatever, for an image that I can use. And this is just him streaming live on Sundays. He does a Sunday AMA stream. And so I'll have to wait. So I may have to take a couple shots, because I'm taking a screenshot while he's live until I get it. And so here's what I'm talking about. So I started out, all these elements, they have a fairly good distance apart. So what it is, I got to this point knowing that I'm going to modify all the leaves on this plant, and they're going to be really close together. And I figured this out doing this particular meme, because I had never really worked with one where I had so many small elements that were close to one another, these tiny images, that I came across this problem. And also that if you were to tap like on this plant, then it would bring the plant to the foreground, and all the modifications you made to the leaves fell to the background. So all my hard work is gone. So that's another reason when you design some of these elements that you want to freeze them, especially if you're doing an emoji on top of an emoji, the way I'm doing this. You may want to freeze that in place and save it. That way it's not going to screw it up. And so here's where I saved. And then I went to the next part. So you see the next part. And you see how close all those those bill stacks are together? Yeah, that's frustrating. I must have done that probably 4 or 5 times before I realized, like, you know what? I probably just need to save here and let me do it that way and see if that works. And that actually came out pretty nice. And so then I believe this is the final image right here. And kind of how I get some of my ideas is I watch his streams. I know what he's generally talks about. He'll release some videos during the week, and he kind of goes, I wouldn't say he goes in a predictable pattern, but apparently I'm very good at recognizing like spatial relationships and whatnot from some test I took or whatever, where it kind of measures what your skill sets are. And then maybe I just kind of, I pick up on these things naturally, and then I'll look at his stream titles, and then I'll kind of gauge what he's talking about during the stream, and then sometimes too it'll be what he's wearing that will kind of inspire me. And when if you get this, you'd have to go and look at the videos to really know it. But basically, since this is out of context for people who don't watch the stream, this is basically how he's talking, like, you know, that the manufacturers, they're producing these numbers out of air, what they're charging for them, and it's, you know, like magic. And I think one of the streams had something in it about magic, if I remember correctly, one of the stream titles. And so when he started the stream, his hood was actually down, and then he put his hood up, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. It's like magic, and it's like kind of like he's a wizard, because I actually had this in my idea in my head earlier in the week, but I couldn't find an emoji that was just a wizard hat or something that would look close to a wizard hat. So this was the next best thing, was just this particular pose that he had, that he just all of a sudden in the middle of the stream just decided to put his hood up. And so that's that. So yeah, so I have a couple different things here. So then let's look. We'll go back and look. I think we can go back and look real quick, and then you can see a couple more that I've done for him. You can see some other. And so here's another stream meme that I did for him. That's kind of got like a ZZ Top, if anybody's into music. That kind of has ZZ Top, and I'm basically what he was saying something about predicting the future or whatever, you know, and talking about leaks, and just, you know, how he's just can, you know, he's not really a mind reader, but he's just looking at all these things, and it's just like a logical progression. And so what I did was I just, you know, this again was just a screen cap from the stream where he's like up real close to the microphone. And then I just threw in this little quick lettering graphic over here. And then I blew up the saturation on it, because he's an Irish guy and they're naturally really light complected. And then the way his stream environment is set up is I think sometimes he's a little sunburnt too from being outside, because he's doing some renovations on his house or something, if I'm not mistaken. But I just blew up this the saturation a little bit, because to me his beard looked really, really red that day, more so than normal. And so what I did is I just blew up the saturation just a hair, and it made it even redder. And his forehead was already red, and I don't know if it's a reflection from something that's in his office, because I know his monitors are right in front of him, and I know he says that he likes the saturation up real high on his monitors. So it could have been something, you know, where the monitors were throwing like a red hue on his forehead. I'm not sure. And then what I did was I took those sunglasses. He actually wears eyeglasses, and it was perfect, because all I had to do was just take the little sunglass emoji and just threw that right over, and, you know, just scaled it up, and it fit perfectly. And of course beard future is like, well, he's telling the future, but it's, you know, and then of course his beard, and just anyways. So yeah, that's where I get some of my ideas from. So we're just gonna go back down here, and then let's go back into Typorama, and then we're gonna go to my, oh, no, we don't want to do that. This is the thing I was talking about earlier that we don't want to do. So I'm going to hit cancel, because we don't want to edit this image. Because what it'll do is it'll make the images that I am freezing, it'll unfreeze them, because it'll be like I'm going back in. So what I want to do is I want to go into my photos, and then I'll select that image, and see, I can tap all around. Well, you can't see my finger, and you can't see it moving, but I can even scroll all the screen, and it's not resizing the image or anything. I'm still frozen in this part, and then I'm gonna pick YouTube thumbnail again. I don't have to resize anything, because I'm already happy with the image size that I have, and then I just hit next. It automatically brings it up, and I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to bring it. See, I'm tapping on the screen right now. You can't see anything that I'm doing. It's doing nothing, because it froze that image. In fact, it actually freezes the whole image. I can pinch it, but it just expands back to the size. So it even freezes the size of the image once you do that. So then let's move on to our next image. So we want to let's do houses. Oh, I'm not in the emoji screen. Oh, nope, I misspelled. That's why it's not. So we want... I'm going to look at this and see if I like this or not. I might not like this. I'm not sure if I can get this. Okay. And then I'll do another one. Done. Okay. And see, that's the other thing too, is these images appear like right in the center. So if those other ones weren't frozen, it would potentially screw them up, and we don't want that. We do not want that. So and then I think we'll do one more, and then we're going to call the quits on the houses. And I was hoping to maybe do this little shorter video. You know what? I'm just going to roll with it, and it's going to be what it's going to be. I'm not going to try to... All right. I think I might need to... I'm going to freeze this. I think I'm satisfied with that. And if worse comes to worse, the other nice thing about this, when I do this, this one's going to sit, it's going to stay in there. And I could come back to it and I could do that edit on there if I wanted to. Even after I go back and I do another image and then I save that and freeze that into place, this one will stay there. So if I go back and pick this and I click edit, it'll still be there, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to hit share, and we're going to do save. And I'm going to hit done, and then we're going to go back. And then we're going to go my photos. It's very important. It's my photos, not my projects. It's my photos. And then I guess I have to decide how I want to do this next part. I think I had an idea how I wanted to do it, but I think I'm going to change it. Because I need to leave some room free. I think I can do it this way. I think I'm going to be satisfied with it if I do it this way. And this actually won't make sense until... my buddy does his video. Alright, and then let me do another one. I'm going to move it over here, and actually I'm going to shrink this down already because I don't want to mess up what I'm doing here. And continue anyway. And then sometimes it makes them all big again, so kind of have to be careful with that. Okay, actually that actually turned out pretty good, if I do say so myself, for first try. Let's move this over here out of the way because I don't want to screw that up. And then I probably will freeze after this again, just to be on the safe side. I mean, I have a bunch of images. If I don't need those other images later on, I can always go in and delete them. This is really so I don't screw up what is potentially the final product. Yep, I'm gonna freeze this just because I don't want to screw this up, because I'm liking the way this is going. I think this is good enough. Actually, you know what? Let me angle this just a bit more. Okay, now we're gonna save it. And then we're gonna hit done. And then we're gonna hit back. And then my photos, and then this. Okay, and then just do YouTube, of course, next. And then we're gonna do one more. Oops, I hit the wrong thing, like a dummy. And this is what I just am re-emphasizing what I was talking about. Oops, see what I mean about fat fingers? I just eliminated that money stack. Okay. Because I screwed up. Because all these are so close together, I didn't want to screw them up. And I'm getting in pretty tight area here. Oh, it would help if I'm hitting the right thing, wouldn't it? Instead of like being a dumbass. Let's see here, let me... Okay, now I got to think about... Do I need to angle that just a bit more, I think. I'm happy with the graphics so far. I've got to think up a title now. And this is kind of the point I always try to make, is that, yes, you're going to have a title for the video. You probably want some verbiage in here, but you don't want to beat people over the head. That's the another thing that we talk about a lot in comics, and the stream I was saying earlier, that community that I'm involved with, is that you don't, you're trying to convey these images to your audience, and you want to be subtle in a lot of cases. There's a point or a place and time to be direct, and then especially with memes, you don't need to beat your audience over the head with a sledgehammer. You want to use a scalpel. It's nuance, if you will. You don't want to talk down to your audience. You want to anticipate that you're dealing with like-minded individuals. I mean, that may not always be the case, but that's... Did I already save this? No, I didn't. So I'm happy with that. Let me save that before I accidentally tap the screen and screw that up. And then my photos, and then... I don't know why it always makes it fuzzy when you do that, but it does. But yeah, you don't want to talk down to your audience. You want to treat it as if you're dealing with people that that they'll get it, because they're members of they're members of the community, or they at least follow the creator. And if they're paying attention, they'll understand the point is you're trying to make. But you want to be subtle. And I'm trying to decide whether we just need to pick a good title for the stream, or if this is good enough as is and we don't want to put any words in here. And some of this is just, creative license, and actually I cut off her title at the bottom. I didn't realize that happened. It doesn't matter, because the people who are it's gonna be in the title. We can always put that in the actual video title, who she is. This is the governor of New Mexico. So let's see here. And so this will give us an opportunity to mess around with the different styles. And you can see what I mean about that. It'll pick the words that it makes larger or whatnot, depending on the style that you pick. And usually I cycle a few different ones, because I don't know which one I'm going to use at the beginning. There's some that I know the style so well that it's going to work best with what I have in mind. And so I'll immediately pick it. What is this? Okay, I'm not worried about that. Be quiet. Swear. I'm trying to do a video here, and it's like everything wants to pop up that does not need to pop up. Get away. So I'm trying not to be too quiet here, but I'm also thinking why I'm doing this. Actually, I think I kind of like that. I was thinking that I might want to try to emphasize one of the words, but I think with all of the imagery we have in here so far, that we don't really need to do more than that. Like I said, you want to leave it up to the reader, if you will, to interpret it. You don't have to club them. So we're going to go ahead and save that. I'm going to leave that the way that is. That's good enough. And then done. And I think that's it. I think I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I've mentioned several people in the videos. I've mentioned several people with whom I associate, whether I'm part of their community or I've done some stream memes for them or whatnot. I'm going to drop links in the description to their channels. So An-CapGamer, NotAnAppleFan, and Young Rippa59, who's Eric July. And thank you, everybody. If you've hung with me this long, this is not quite as long as I thought it might be, but I think we're okay here. And I don't know why this is blinking at me. Hopefully it's still recording. But if you could give this video a like, I'd appreciate it. Thumbs it up, and we'll see you in the next one.